That's neat. Good for him.
He did their first game last Saturday.
Okay, welcome everyone. Well, it's the first of a few, hopefully, trainings that we actually have here at our own location. I'm really excited about it. But I'm Holly. If people don't know me, I see a few new faces. But I'm really excited because we are at kind of an important part of the company, important time, because we're growing very fast. And so we're getting lots of new faces at events, and working our events. And so I thought it'd be a good time just to kind of have a little roundup and talk about some new procedures and policies that we have in place. We have a brand new training manual there, which some of you maybe know everything in it, and that's all good, but it also has some things specific to Hollyberry. So we wanted to share that with you. Today there's going to be a few things that we're going to go over. Most of the items that we're going to be talking about are in the manual, but we're going to be highlighting certain things. And each of your catering leads, who some of you, hopefully you know all of them, Val's missing because she has strep, but they're going to each take a segment of the manual and kind of just go through some highlighted things. You are going to be getting up and doing some activities, not much, but a little bit. And we were able to do this in a couple of hours yesterday, so hopefully it won't be too long. If you need a break or you need to get up at any time, you can. We'll have some, you get some waters back there. Okay, good deal. So the main reason for this meeting is to come together and go through the manual. We also are going to be talking about our new uniforms, and after the meeting you'll get to try on the shirt that hopefully you've requested personally, and that will be your shirt. We're going to get them with the logo on the shirt. You'll be charged for the shirt, but it'll be yours. And so we're going to figure out a way we can put your name in there, but we're going to dry clean them for you each time. So we'll go through that in detail. We're also going to do a polo shirt, which Elena will talk about, but we're not doing that quite yet. Okay, so we're going to be talking about front of house and back of house, just details on both. And also just knowing that your leads, I've kind of put them in charge of helping to see where you best fit in, and then also fielding your requests for what areas you may want to learn about, where you'd like to grow. Part of a growing organization is being able to utilize the people that we have, and so you all can learn new skill sets. So some of that is going to be touched on today, but if you would love to be trained as a bartender, or you would love to be a front of house or back of house leads at some point, then you will be asking Elena to see if we would consider you for that position. And you know, there are different levels of income that you can have for the different opportunities. So we want to make those things available to you, but they are responsible to kind of see those opportunities in you as well, and maybe, you know, see where you best fit. So that's kind of part of today as well. Okay, so that's that. The manual, the very first part of it, is a little bit about the Hollyberry philosophy. So when I started the company 12 years ago, I had to come up with, I don't know if has anyone ever started a business in here? Okay, so you have to, even before you know what it's going to be, you feel like you need to put on paper your vision and your mission, and I actually did this 12 years ago, and I tweaked it just a little bit, but I still think it's very true to what we do and what we're trying to do here. So I'll just go through these things quickly, but our vision is it will be well known through St. Louis as a supreme caterer and gift source with unsurpassed product quality. I think all of you know that's real important here. Also maintain a team of individuals so unified and focused on client satisfaction that no other company comes close to our level of expertise in knowing our customers' needs and exceeding them. And then third, we'll maintain our ability to make our process simple and cutting edge so that no other company services the client as well as we do. So you're really involved in each one of those areas, and I want you to know that that's something that we all work together on. So as mission, also it comes right back to that team mentality. So we strive as a unified team to know our clients' needs, to meet them with superior products and service, and to make it a joy for them to do business with us. I think that joy piece is the biggest part of what I really see. And when I'm reading emails, and I'm going to show you some of the references and comments that we get on an every other day basis now of what a great job you do. And I know that you all don't get to see that a lot, but it's amazing how many people in this city are willing to just say, oh, Hollyberry, you're the best. I mean, we've been voted favorite caterer for 3 years, hopefully 4, coming up by sauce readers. I mean, we're a 10-year-old company. That's a baby company. when it comes to caterers in St. Louis. So you should all be very proud of that and share that with all of you. Excuse me. So the other thing, core values. Commitment to being team players. It's so important here. We talk about kind of the Hollyberry gene. Does this person have the Hollyberry gene when they walk in? In other words, are they willing to do any task? And are they going to have that extra bit of warmth with clients? And I think that really comes through. Part of coming up with this manual is because we have lots of new faces and new people in it, to be able to explain, okay, this is who we are, but also bring another level of professionalism. So being warm doesn't mean you act like everybody's your best buddy, but it does mean that you take those extra steps to make sure they feel completely comfortable with what you're providing for them as a service. Integrity in everything that we do and say, passion for creating great events, respect for each other, our clients and suppliers. So those are some basic things that I just wanted to go over with you personally. It has a little bit of story about Hollyberry and who we are, some of the awards we've won. That's something else that, did Tony come in with us? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll just show you real quick. I just have one per table so you can just peek at them. But this is what we give when we're trying for a job, whether it's a venue or a big job that we're trying for. And this is kind of our little mini resume. And I'm also going to give you some of the references that I mentioned earlier. So just so you can kind of see what you're a part of, who we are, what our, beyond just our vision and mission, some of the things we've done in the community, and also if you're interested in some of the things that we do focus on, let us know, how you can involve. We just recently did a couple events where we served at Sunshine Mission, which is a place I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that we donate to. So we try to get involved in the community beyond just serving the community as a caterer. So I wanted to show you that. Okay. The second page is just kind of who our people are. And you guys are all our people, definitely. And you all have different roles that you play. But in the office, that's why I wanted to introduce you to Nicole and hopefully, and Lindsay, but hopefully you know Tanya and Rebecca and some other people. But this is kind of who the people are in the office and what we do. So when you're here, you hear a name or you see somebody, you kind of know their role. But specifically, I wanted to kind of emphasize who your leaders are. I don't know, I'm sure that a lot of you have had different catering leads at events you've worked, maybe you've acted as a catering lead. But we kind of restructured this year to make a more clear, a clearer, more professional layers and levels of expertise at Hollyberry. So Elena, who's been with me for 6 years, is our director of catering, and she's kind of the top of the ranks there, but she handles some specific things. She's off-site now, so that's a little bit of a challenge, and she may not see many of you as much, but she's doing certain things for every event. She's staffing every event, for instance, so she's the person you talk to if you were interested in another area of interest. And she also does all the rentals. She oversees a lot of what we're going to work on next, or what training we're doing. That's what Elena does. She can do front of house or back of house. Obviously is very versed in both, but handles all the catering that happens at Westminster Christian Academy, which, raise your hand if you worked at Westminster or have. Okay, so that's our second location, the second kitchen, which we're going to be doing more and more events out there. It's a bigger and better kitchen than what we have here, but it is a little bit further out, so we kind of use it to our advantage. Some of you may or may not know we grew 46% last year, so that was due in part to both the Westminster lunch program. We cater lunch for about 300 students a day out there, but we're also able to use their facility so we can, you can only do so many events in this kitchen, right? So we're able to do more. And then Valerie, who's not here, but she oversees all the catering duties here, all the prep and food ordering for every single event. So even if you have an issue with a product or you see something that doesn't look quite right, she would be a person to go to. She helps manage all the labor and food costs in addition to Elena, and then works on special projects. You've seen her a lot on events, probably sometimes at the bar, when she was going to go over this section, but I think Erin's going to do that for us today. So Erin is our head baker and another assistant catering manager. So she works on baking production, gift production. How many of you were involved in gift production last year or any year? Okay. So that's when we do hundreds of gifts, all with our made from scratch sweets, packaged individually, and we send them across the country. So that's kind of another area of our company that we work on. And she works as front of house and back of house, but her passion is kind of front of house lead. So you'll kind of see that's where she loves to do things and display, and that's something that she really loves. So if you're needing kind of tips on how to be a better server, how to really, you know, do a better job with presentation, she's a good person to ask. And then Kristen, last but not least, also does, you know, front of house or back of house, works on a lot of special projects, and also is helps us a lot with menu development. So if we have items that we feel like we're lacking in, or we need to try new things, I was going to show you as well. She's helping us as well as the rest of the staff, but kind of really start spearheading this large plate option. So Hollyberry's been known for small plate catering for quite a while, but we're getting more and more opportunities for sit-down dinners. So that's what we're calling our sit-down dinner. So that's pretty exciting. So that's what Kristen helps us with. All of the above have been involved in things like photo shoots, you know, some cooking classes here and there, training. So you get a lot of neat opportunities, as well as we're going to start a new program where they have continuing education opportunities. So they'll be able to continue their training with Cole. So pretty neat to be a catering lead. Okay, and then the final thing for me is really who we are. You know, I did not go into this business thinking I would grow this big catering company, but I am so excited with what it's become and who we have here. And who we have here is what I'm most excited about. I feel like we, you know, when people ask me, what makes you different? Well, you know, really it's the people. And that's what I hear over and over and over. So that's who you are. And so we have about 15 full-time and 50 part-time people that work with us at any time. A couple of things that I say, I get a lot of interviews and things like that where people will ask me, well, what's your philosophy? And, you know, what really it comes down to, we want to serve others like we want to be served. I think it's pretty simple, but if you think about it, it's harder than you think. And the other thing is, we just want to, you know, we want to be available for whatever they need, and we want to serve food like we would serve our own family and friends. So we do a lot of things from scratch. We do a lot of things that might be a little more difficult to execute, but there's a reason. It's because we want to use, you know, products with no preservatives. We want to recycle wherever we can. There's a lot of things that we do that may not be the easiest way, but it's the way we feel strongly about. So we do take that team approach to catering. You'll probably have multiple roles when you're at an event. We're trying to streamline that as well. Elena will talk a little bit. We had a software conversion about a month ago, so we have new paperwork that you're probably looking at and receiving and trying to figure out what it all means, and that hopefully is a help because it should give you more information than before. And the biggest thing is that, you know, think of your client as your personal client. So they're really paying all of us. And so when we're out there, you guys are on the front lines, and I really do appreciate the fact that you take this seriously as a job and know how serious that I take it, and I'm really glad you're part of it. So thank you. That's my little part, and I will hand it over to Elena.
Hello. One of the first things I'm going to go over is our new uniform change. As you can see, we're switching to black shirts, and like Holly said, we're going to get them embroidered. Just make sure that when you come to an event that your hair is back, minimal makeup, small earrings, jewelry's fine, just make sure it's small and not real noticeable. Can anybody tell me what's wrong with my uniform right now?
Shoes.
My shoes. I am very known to wear these until the last minute, and then I switch into black tennis shoes. These are perfectly fine. I know everybody has their different shoes that they wear. These just aren't very comfortable. So I put them on at the very last minute and take them off as soon as the event's over. So when you arrive at an event, wear your black pants and a black shirt. We will obviously be bringing your event shirts with you, or with us, for you to wear, and you change into those shortly before the event starts. Your lead will usually let you know, okay, everybody needs to get changed and be ready to go. So that's how that works now. So make sure when you leave an event, you leave your shirt with the lead so they can get it cleaned, so it's ready for you to wear next event. We are looking into a way to put your name in it, so that's one of my projects this weekend. I'm thinking we're going to write it back here somewhere. So that's uniform changes. Any questions on uniforms, new uniforms? We are switching to, we also are going to have a polo shirt to where we wear to outside events. They're short sleeved, obviously not as heavy as these. So we'll let you know when it's appropriate to wear your polo shirt, but we will also be bringing that for you. So that's something exciting. So I just kind of want to share my method of madness because I know I email a lot and kind of how I do that. So when I get an event, I usually go about a month out and I start sending emails. So I usually send it to, if the event is for, if I need 10 people, I'll send it to 2 extra people, just assuming that 2 people are going to say no. So check your emails frequently. The faster you get back to me, the faster you get on that event. Now things do change throughout. The numbers can go down, the party can be canceled. There are several things that would change that. So I do, email you as soon as I can and say, hey, this party got cut. I don't need as many servers. Thank you anyway. Your final schedule, if you're on that event, will be mailed out to you 3 to 4 days before the event by your lead. If you think you were on that event and you didn't get an email for your schedule, let me know and I will check on it for you. We are going to also be sending out a delivery receipt when we send out that email. Just check, there's a little box that says you want to send this delivery receipt. Just check yes. So we get that email back and know that you got it and read it and know where you're supposed to be when. The BEO will be set separately right now. We're hoping to get that all in one. So your schedule and your BEO. So you'll receive two emails when you're working an event. You'll receive the BEO and you'll receive your schedule. Hopefully in the future you will just receive one email, but we're still working on it with our new system. Yes, dear.
I am an exception to the rule because I don't know how to use my email. So can you just put on my stuff, text me? Because you can text me,
I can try to do that for you.
Thank you. Because I cannot answer by email. It won't go through.
So here is what our new, I'm just going to pass a couple if you could share. This is what our new event order looks like. So this is sent out to you with every event that you work. And it has details on the event. It has the menu, it has the address, any special notes for that event. It says how many we're serving. All the details that you need for an event is on this paper.
That's how they're going to be set up.
Oh, this is how it's set up.
That's nice. School's at it.
So you also need to have, obviously this will tell you where you're going. So make sure when you go to an event you're prepared. You have your BEO, you have your lead's phone number. They all put that on their email, their phone number, and most of you should have mine. So if you have any questions, ask. If there's something on here you don't understand or you're not sure or you forget, just ask. Communication is key because we have a lot of things going on. There could be several events in a day, so we just need to make sure everything's clear. We are using occasionally staff services who obviously don't know a lot about Hollyberry. They don't go through this training. They don't know certain things that you may know. So if you see one of those staff members doing something that you would not do in an event, please let your lead know and we will take care of it. Because they're still working the event, we still want to make sure that they're acting like they know what to do. But if they don't, we would like to know and we will take care of that. Does everybody have school's phone number? Because that's where my location is. If you don't have it, let me know and I can give it to you because that's where you can easily reach me. My cell phone sits right there on my desk, but it does not ring. So a lot of times if you call my cell phone, I don't hear it. But the school number goes directly through and I can answer it. But I also check email a lot, so that's a really good way to get a hold of me. Let's see. When you arrive at an event, ask a lead where to put your personal items. We usually have a certain spot. And then you're going to get your task for the evening. As always, help where needed throughout the night. Like Holly said, you may not be doing one specific task, but always try to look busy, stay busy, keep busy. There's always something to do at an event. We all are a team and we are there for the same goals, making a memorable event for the client. So just do whatever you can to make that event smooth for them. I do have a couple other things to pass out. We have a new accident information, and if you were to be in the van and something were to happen, there's a form in the glove box that you would need to fill out. And what is this one for, Holly?
Oh, that's for if there's a ding that happens, not an accident,
Oh, okay.
but if you scrape a side of
Fender
the
bender,
garage or
yeah.
whatever, something like that, then that will be in the glove compartment as well. Just write down the details. We're getting the van
just
cleaned up.
pass
We're
that
getting
around.
magnets on the van and probably a second vehicle, so we want them to stay as nice as possible. And we'd rather just know, okay? Nobody's getting in trouble. We know that you all try to drive as well as you can with these things, so that's what those forms are for.
There's a cancellation policy also in the manual on page 5. If it says who to call, when to call, where to call, just be conscious that, we only staff the event for how many people we need. We don't add anyone extra. So if you're on the schedule and you somehow, something happens and you're backed out, we're short somebody. So let us know in as much time as you can so we can get that shift covered. Calling in sick is the same way. And I already went over that. And the vehicle policy. And I think I'm done. Any questions on anything that I went over?
Reprimands, 3 strikes and you're out.
So there's reprimands on here. Basically, it's 3 strikes, you're out. First one, you get a verbal warning. The second time, you'll get a sit down and a written warning, and you'll probably talk to, for sure, me, possibly Holly, and then 3 strikes, you're gone. So just be conscious of other people's jobs, and we're here to make everybody's life easy. So if we work together, it will all be good.
The only other thing is about arriving at an event and you can have time to put your shirt on. Did you talk about that with the black shirt?
Yep.
So just be cognizant. I think most of you guys are really good at this, but every now and then I'll come to an event and it's literally like 30 minutes before it starts and people are still in their own t-shirts and things like that. When you're in front of a client, we really, at a bare minimum, we should have on our black t-shirt and the rest. And the shirt should, this shirt should actually be on a good 30 minutes before. But during that setup time, we still want to maintain that real professional and clean as we go kind of a look, and so they they really catch that vibe.
I did not say if you're required to meet at Hollyberry, that usually means you're going to load up the van, which means you probably want to wear something other than your event clothes, because especially now in the summertime, it's hot and sticky, and you're in that hot van getting in and out, and your clothes are going to get kind of gross. So bring an extra change, bring your event clothes with you, and then you can change when it's time to leave for the event. That's the only other thing.
Just one more thing about the van. In the van, there is a plastic sleeve in there that has the registration information. It also has an insurance card. There also should be a card in there for Paragon if you have a breakdown. So it's in the van. I've called Paragon just to see how it goes. It's just like calling AAA, and they'll be able to send someone out. But just in case if there's a police officer involved, all information should be in the van. And now these 2 pieces of information will be in there as well. So
Michael is our operations manager, and he really takes care of all the stuff that I hate to do, which is van maintenance and everything that, all those technical details. So those kinds of questions can be directed to him.
Yeah, and then the main thing about accidents, just make sure if the van breaks down or it's someplace you can't, just make sure your guys can get off the road and be safe.
Yes.
And then call somebody, or probably show you my phone numbers in case that ever happens. But the main place is just to get yourself safe. And if you have to call 911, you're going to have to call 911 and do whatever. We've never had... We've had the van break down, but we've never had an accident.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, it happens, spills in the van, or you totally drain it of gas. Please just I would assume your lead's going to be right there and they'll report it. But it's just good, to make sure that if you're the last one unloading the van or something, don't be embarrassed. It's all right. Just let us know so we can take care of it and it doesn't sit in the 90-degree heat for a few
Especially
days.
shrimp.
So a little tinge of the shrimp smell. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Erin. I know most of you, but I don't know some of you, so I'm very excited to get to know those of you that I do not know. As Holly said earlier, I'm the front of house kind of specialist, so I'll be going over the front of house stuff that you need to know when you're at an event. We typically do 2 types of events. We do the typical stationed or buffet style, that's kind of where we came from, and then we are now doing seated plated dinners, which is where we're evolving to. So we've done some, so we've kind of got our feet wet in it, but I'm pretty much going to give an overview of both so that you kind of know when you arrive to an event what to expect. So first I'm going to go over kind of the buffet or station style event. Generally when I set up a buffet, or when any of your leads set up a buffet, we have a plan in mind. Usually before an event, we'll kind of take the time to sit down, look at the food we have, and make like a design of how we want the station to be laid out. So generally, there's kind of a rule of thumb to how you organize a buffet. And generally it's starting with the plates and forks at the end, and then kind of think of how you would go through a meal, and that's how we set it up. So you start with your plate, obviously, your napkin, your fork, and then going from there, you generally have your protein first, or what we have the most of, and then you kind of work your way down. Well, actually, you start with the salad. I'm sorry, salad course first, then your protein, starch, veg, etc. Our sales team is very skilled in determining our clients' needs and determining what it is that they're really passionate about, and what it is, the reason that they call. There are some people who call here and they're like, I just can't get enough of that honey goat cheese spread, and I just need to have that at every single one of my events. So, we make sure to accommodate them and to make, that honey goat cheese spread the star of the buffet if that's what they're really into. But for an example, at a standard wedding, you'll come in and you'll see the buffet that's laid out, and you'll have your harvest fruit and nut salad, very popular choice, and then maybe you'll have some Thai chicken skewers, because this bride, in her tasting, she just loved these Thai chicken skewers, so they sold a bunch. So that's what we put out first, because that's what she really wants her guests to focus on. She really enjoyed it. She really wants to share that with her guests. And then, as you move on, you might do mashed potatoes with the toppings, and then maybe those bacon goat cheese crostinis, However the bride or groom or the client has requested their food to be served, that's how we do the best to accommodate them and to make them happy. So it's really important to create interest whenever you are setting up a buffet. You don't want just a line of chafing dishes just kind of sitting out all boring. You want to break them up. You want to do a couple here, and then maybe some platters with some tiers. We have several items that we have here that we keep here that create different levels, so that there can be something lower and something higher. Creates interest. It's not boring. When you come in to a Hollyberry event and you see an elaborate display with both chafing dishes and tiered platters, it sets us apart as a premier caterer in St. Louis. People come back to us because they know that they can expect something really new and cool and different. So that's what's really important. When you're going to an event, you need to be aware if the station is single or double-sided, meaning can people go through one side of the buffet, or are they going to be feeding, are we going to be feeding people on both sides? Usually at cocktail hour type things, it's a one-sided buffet, because people are going to be just coming over and having a bite or two. They're not really, you know what I mean? It's not going to be like a steady stream of people all the time hitting the buffet. But at a wedding, oh, you better believe it's going to be double-sided if you can help it, because these people have been sitting in a ceremony, they've waited for the bride and groom to take pictures, they just got their drink, and they are starving, they are ready to eat. So in order to feed everybody as quickly as we possibly can, we make the stations double-sided, so that people can get through as quickly as they can. So that is really important. And what's important to know about double-sided buffets is that you need double the signage, you need food signs on both sides, and then you also need double the utensils. So stocking and restocking the buffet is really important to know. When chafing dishes is something that's just kind of part of our daily catering routine, to keep hot food hot constantly, to keep it at that appropriate temperature, to be safe for our clients to eat. When you are using a chafing dish, say that we're at an event and I say, I need you to fill the chafing dishes with fuel and water. What I'm asking you to do is to make sure that each chafing dish has 2 sterno fuel. They come in these little round discs. You just have to make sure that you take the top off. So each chafer, standard size chafer, gets 2 fuel. And then we have also these round kind of smaller chafers for smaller items. They only take 1. So that's fueling them and then filling them with water. We have these pitchers. They look just like this. 1 full pitcher is all you need to put in a standard chafer. That's the perfect amount, which is about 1 thumbnail's depth of water. More than 1 of these pitchers, it will take forever for the chafer to heat up. Less than 1 of these pitchers, it'll burn out before the dinner station or the dinner service is over, and that's just not acceptable. Another note about chafers is that generally they take about 20 to 30 minutes to come to full heat. So you can't light a chafer and then immediately put food in it because the food will get cold in the period of time it takes for the chafer to heat up. You have to give the chafer 20 to 30 minutes to come to its full heat. You don't want to light the chafers too early because the sterno fuel only lasts for 2 hours. Dinner service can last anywhere from an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. So you want to make sure that you really coordinate with your lead to not light the sterno fluid until it's absolutely the right time. And as long as you coordinate with your lead, don't worry, we'll make sure that everything's happening in the right order. So we've got the buffet set up, it's all beautiful, people start going through. What I like to call the 75% rule is that you will restock the buffet once 75% of an item has been consumed. So generally, it's easier to tell with mashed potatoes, things like that, but 75% is about when you need to head to the kitchen to get a replacement. You will always, always, always replace an item. You will never, ever, ever refill an item unless directed by your lead, because refilling, it holds up the buffet, it looks tacky, it's not something you want to do. There may be an extreme exception, and your lead will let you know at that point, but do not ever, ever refill the buffet. You always want to restock. You want to completely replace an item and put out something that's fresh and new and beautiful from the back of the house. Just a couple notes about keeping the buffet clean. It is really important to, as the guests go through, especially with things like spinach dip and mashed potatoes and macaroni and cheese, people, get a nice big spoonful and it doesn't quite make it to their plate and it sometimes gets kind of messy. It's really important for the front of house folks to always have a table crumber in their pockets so that, you can go by and, wipe the crumbs off the buffet. Always keep a napkin or some kind of something in your hand so that you can always keep the buffet tidy and clean as you go along. And then when you're replacing food, always, don't ever put anything out with your hands or pull hot chafing like hotel pans out of a chafing dish with your bare hands. Make sure that you use towels, use a tong if you need to kind of get it out of the chafing dish. Because sometimes they can be really stubborn. And then when you are bringing a hot item from the back of house to the front of house to replace in a chafing dish, always bring 2 sets of hot pads because the person that's out there needs something to grasp on to the hot hotel pan. So just make sure that you think of that ahead of time. And I'm just going to make a little quick note about coffee. Our coffee makers are like super duper crazy powerful. We can knock out a circuit in no time if we plug in both of our coffee makers at the same time. So the way that we have determined that this works best to fix this issue is that we will usually put 1 flavor type, I guess regular or decaf, out at the buffet. And then the other type we'll either offer behind the bar or that we'll offer in kind of a smaller container so that we don't overload the circuits. And if that's not, applicable, then we'll have to plug them in on different circuits because they will completely blow a fuse and then it causes problems. So just keep that in mind. If you're asked to set up the coffee station, you need to be aware that do not plug them into the same outlet and don't plug them into the same circuit. You need to be plugged in separately. And your lead can work with the folks at the venue to make sure that that happens. Okay, so now you guys get to stand up and come over to this table because I'm going to do a demo on how to set a place setting for a seated plated dinner. Okay, so there is a lot of folks here today.
You'll have to split everyone in half probably, and I'll stop when you do that.
Well, I have a plan.
Okay, you go. Down
Okay.
with the plan.
So, if everybody could take one of these and pass it down. I want everybody to have one of these papers. They're coming around. But this is an example of a formal and an informal place setting for a service, a seated plated event. What I'm going to show you today is going to be a little bit of a mixture between the formal and the informal. I only have certain tools here to work with, and every event will be different. So you just have to kind of pay attention to what the BEO says, listen to what your lead says to determine how the place setting should look. And your lead will always approve of it before you all set the entire, all the tables. So the rule of thumb is when you first arrive to an event, usually the very first thing you have to do is drop all the linens on the tables. And that's because generally the florist is showing up about the same time we are, and they need to put down the centerpiece. So the most important thing about dropping linens is that all of these center seams need to be facing the same direction. And the best way to determine which direction they face is to follow the lines in the ceiling or the lines in the floor. They don't necessarily need to face the door. If the door is the only thing that you can determine as a focal point, that's fine. But this is the rule of thumb. Generally line it up with the ceiling or the floor. And you'll see every venue has got something that you can line up the seams with. But them being all the same, facing the same direction, is just one of those little touches that just puts us above the rest. So then, when you go to set the table for the first time, or your first table, what you want to do is you use the center seam kind of as your guide. Now, you'll know that when we're at an event, there will be chairs all around this table. So you'll be able to determine how many place settings you need to set based on the amount of chairs. So because we don't have that today, I'm just going to kind of show you another way to do it. You use a plate kind of as a guide to show you how far apart you need to put your silverware and your glassware and things like that. So starting at the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock position, that's where you put your plates. Usually at most of our events, our napkins are folded one specific way, and they're generally a different color than the linen for this reason. As you can see, this napkin already comes with a center seam, so it makes it really easy for us. All you do is you keep it folded along that center seam, fold it one more time, and then you can see that there's kind of an overlap here with the seam. You turn that over so that seam doesn't show, and then you drape it off the table just like this. And normally the first plate that would go down in front of a guest would be a salad plate. So this isn't the right size, but we'll just use this kind of as a visual example. Part of the napkin will peek above the plate, so it looks really cool and interesting. And this is a really new, cool, fun decor thing that a lot of folks are doing. So we are on the bandwagon with being new and cool and hip. So this is how, the napkins will be placed. Now, usually when we're at an event, you will be given a task. Either the forks, the knives, the spoons, the glassware. You'll be given, and you have to do that for every single place setting that is going to be at the event. So, just for the sake of kind of showing you a couple different variations that you may see at an event, the rule of thumb with placing flatware is that the forks are a thumbnail above the table. Now, in this particular setting, this guest has a salad fork and a dinner fork. Guests always use their silverware from the outside in, so that's how you have to think about it when you're setting the place setting. The knife always goes with the blade facing into the plate. And then this particular guest has a spoon here, say for soup. Now, say that we're doing this a little differently. Say this is a dessert fork instead. The dessert fork would come up here, and the handle always faces to the left.
say this is a coffee spoon in this case. This guest has a coffee spoon. That always faces to the right. And that's why this is kind of a mix between a formal and informal. You really just have to kind of know what event it is. You know, your lead will definitely go through this with you, so don't worry about this. We've got it mapped up. Yes, Holly?
Can you talk a minute about when they see rentals that are not quite clean, how they can handle that?
Yes. Generally, we have this special box that we carry to every event. It's called the Everyday Box, and it's pretty much our emergency toolkit of all sorts of stuff that we use. If you find silverware that's gross and needs to be cleaned, we usually have coffee filters or some kind of buffing device with us that, you know, we can either wash it, because we usually carry soap with us, or we can, you know, buff it clean if it's just like some water spots or something that just looks kind of not quite right. So now let me grab some glassware. I'm just going to sneak behind you real quick. All right, so this is how the glassware is set, with the wine glass closer to the guest, or I guess the wine glass would be closer to the edge of the table and the water glass would be closer to the middle of the table. And then say that we're presetting coffee service, the coffee cup will be placed here next to the guest. Now, there are cases where we will preset the coffee cup, and there are cases where we will not. There are some times where this isn't even set out until dinner time, although the coffee spoon will already be set out. But this is something that we'll bring out, you know, prior, and then we'll set this at each place setting. But in the event that it's preset, that's where it would go. So that is one place setting. However, what I'd like to do is I'd like for this table to be set with 8 place settings, and I'd like you to do the napkins. Thank you. I'd like you to do the plates. Forks, make sure that you do all the forks. So you do the double forks. Carrie. Knives. Amanda. Spoons.
I got the backwards.
Linda. I'll give you these, and I know that, you know, normally you get the coffee cups too, but I'll let you just start with that. Sorry, Holly.
Sorry.
Hey, how do you do this again? Well, there's my place setting.
Okay.
Aisha, I'm gonna have you do coffee cups. We'll start over here. Matt, I'll have you do the wine glasses, and then Meg, I'll have you do the water goblets, which are over here.
She did that to me, of course.
And make sure you set for 8 place settings.
You said 8?
Yeah. Yeah, and if you need to set the plates first and then Sarah come back behind and put the napkin underneath, that's fine.
I'm football guy.
Napkins too.
Look upside down.
This